Hello and welcome to another beautiful day. Happy Independence Day to all of viewers out there. Happy Nigerian. Happy Independence Day, Barrister.
Happy
It's
Independence
very
Day
good to
to
be
you
seeing
as
you
well.
this morning in the
Yes,
studio.
yes, thank you.
You know, I was saying it that I was expecting that by now Barrister will be carrying the Nigerian flag to the studio. But Barrister, what happened?
I
I
didn't
was
see.
ex-
I still want to buy, but maybe
you
when I'm going back, I'll try and get one and do
Barrister,
it.
you don't have Nigeria flag. Barrister, barrister. That doesn't show a good face. But happy Independence Day to all our viewers out there and happy new month. It's 1st October and it marks Nigeria's 65th anniversary independence. Oh, it shows that Nigeria is unified. According to Bishop, the United States of Nigeria, this year is our first year marking the United States of Nigeria. But I don't know if that has been put into the law. Can that be put into the law?
No, 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 no.
He said no.
We are known by our constitution. We are known as the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Oh, you don't want
not
it?
the
Okay.
United States of Nigeria.
So, okay, we'll leave the United States in the studio, the United States of Nigeria. Okay, we'll be diving into our first newspaper, and that's the Punch newspaper front page, where we see that Nigeria at 65, the worst is over. Hope is rising for Nigeria, the president has come out to say in page 2. We also see that fuel queues resurface as Pegasan and Dangote fight deepens. We also see beneath it that celebrating Nigeria's at 65, as Nigeria celebrates her 65th independent anniversary today. I wish to congratulate the president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GFCR, and Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. As a nation, this milestone is not just a reminder for our history, but also a call to unity, resilience, and a renewed commitment to building a united Nigeria of our dreams. And I actually like this particular statement. You know, I've been in the hope for the united Nigeria. That hope is just burning inside me. I just hope that this year would actually mark a united Nigeria truly in all sectors, because I think that's the major thing we've been talking about. That if come out, then Nigeria can actually get to that destination that we have been thinking of. What we've been thinking of can now be put into action. And we would start from our leaders. But anyway, we'll be looking into the first big headline. We see that Nigeria celebrates its 65 years of independence. Leaders of the National Assembly, state governors, and social political groups are urging citizens to remain united and hopeful despite the ongoing challenges. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and House Speaker Tajuddin Abbas said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reform are beginning to show a positive sign, while assuring the hardship being experienced will soon ease. The governor across states have echoed calls for patriotism and collective responsibility in building a stronger nation. Niger Delta and Edo State leaders pledged a renewed investment in infrastructure, energy, education, while groups like the Aniferel and the Christian Association of Nigeria encourage Nigerians to hold to the faith and justice and also the good governance of this country. However, opposition vices like the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar lamented the deepening insecurity, food scarcity, and unemployment that has actually eaten a tragic large amount into our country's economic system. I understand from, of course, I think the statement came out that one of the citizens in this country actually put out a statement on Facebook and said, of course, the opposition party will always come out and say, will have something to say about this good statement, but we cannot come out today and start focusing on will I say the hardship we've gone through. This today marks a day for us to understand that yes, Nigeria is still unified, despite the fact that we almost had a split, had the Biafrans coming out to say they wanted to go out of Nigeria, but we didn't. In all of this fight, in all of the issue that has been happening in Nigeria, we've been able to still stand unified till this year. 65 is a big year, and I don't know what you have to say about this statement.
Yeah, so 65 is a big year, like you said. We've come a long way. A lot of challenges. Nigeria has faced a lot of challenges that you can think of. We've gone through a civil war. We've gone through numerous kind of challenges. I mean, we are currently dealing with insurgency in the north. We are dealing with kidnappings, a lot of security challenges.
Yes.
The economy has been bastardized. You know, so there are a lot of challenges, but like you said, we look at that there is hope. You know, one thing I always praise Nigeria for is Nigerians themselves. You know, Nigerians, we are great people. I mean, when you look at the kind of achievements that Nigerians achieve, despite all what is going on around in the country, you'll just be amazed that these people, they are very resilient. These people are people that are destined for greatness. It's just that I don't know what the problem is. Like I used to discuss with my friends and say, probably it's because of Nigeria. We need to be, like I always say, we need to be more unified. We need to, rather than seeking for independent achievements, let us seek for collective achievements. You know, situations where I need to step down in order for my brother to succeed and we collectively succeed, we should do that, you know. But Nigerians, maybe because of, if there is one goal that we are to achieve, if you see that, oh, it has to be me, you know, so that kind of selfishness, all those, we have to lay that down. And moving on to the commiserations, the celebrations rather from our leaders, you know, our leaders have to come and celebrate us. You know, even our president gave a speech of hope, saying that there is hope in the land, you know, giving us that the economy has been stabilized and all of that. But beyond what he was saying, the major this thing we have to look at is what are people saying on the ground? How is it being felt on the ground? Yes, in some sense, we can see there's a little bit of stability now in terms of our currency, in terms of the economy. We're not seeing as much inflation as we saw in 2023 and 2024. But I mean, I was discussing with a friend of mine, and I told him, I say, young people, we've dealt with young people of today in Nigeria. I don't think we've ever faced this kind of economic challenge ever in our life. Maybe since the Biafra War, or since our civil war. I mean, you are dealing with inflation of 20-something percent, 20-something to 30-something percent. I remember growing up, dollar was 100 naira, 150. Then within the space of 4, 5, 6 years, you saw dollar rise to the naira. It rose to about 1,600, 1,700 and something. I mean, how are young ones supposed to work or dream in that kind of country, you know? Yesterday, you made mention of a journalist that was killed in her apartment. Yeah. You know, terrible things happen. But the major thing is that some of these terrible things can be avoided. You get, killings happen in many, but when you look at circumstances that deal with Nigeria's problem, you just see that some of these things are very, very avoidable. And so these are the things that government needs to look at. Again, let me just say finally it's not just about talking or speaking hope to the people. You also have to act hope. You have to do things that give hope to the people. I can say whatever I want to. I can say the good things. I can talk about how great Nigeria will be and all of that. Our leaders, I'm speaking to our leaders. But let our leaders begin to do things that inspire hope to the nation.
Barrister, I would want you to actually really comment on the speech made by our president. But before you comment, let's see the speech. Yes. Let's have the speech being played.
Asset of this blessed country. You must continue to dream big, innovate, and conquer more territories in your various fields of science, technology, sport, and art and creative sector. Our administration, through policies and funding, will continue to give you wings to fly sky high. We created NEL Fund to support students with loans for their educational pursuits. Approximately 510,000 students across 32 states of the Federation, including FCT, have benefited from this initiative, covering 228 higher institutions. As of September 10, the total loan disbursed was 99.5 billion, while the upkeep allowance stood as 44.7 billion. Credit Corp, another initiative of our administration, has granted over 153,000 Nigerians 30 billion affordable loans for vehicles, solar energy, home upgrades, digital devices, and more. Youth credit, which I promised last June, is a reality, with tens of thousands of NYSC members. This initiative is at the cusp of implementation. Our last 2 years, we have collaborated with our partners to launch the program. Supporting our young builders was not an option. Our macroeconomic progress has proven that our sacrifices have not been in vain. Together, we are laying a new foundation cast in concrete, make statistics alone. But
we can actually go on and on. If you look at the statement completely, and the president was trying to talk about the successes we've had, and he actually based mainly on most of the successes we've had right from 1960 down to this year, and he was calling most successes. One of the things he mentioned was the school and educational system of Nigeria has grown in a large, with a large amount of gap that was that's between 1960 and 2025, and which we know is the truth. He was trying to compare the school also, how many schools we had then, and he mentioned that it was only one school, and now we have like how many schools in the country, and of course we know that educational system has grown. But the major issues that so many people are coming out, or Nigerians are actually coming out to speak on, is the security issues, and which we know has affected so many other sectors in Nigeria. So many people are saying we're having issues with our security. Like I said, one of the statements we mentioned yesterday of one of our one of the media personnel in Nigeria who actually lost her life to robbery, which can be avoided. And before we went to the president's speech, we were speaking on that, and it's one of the major issues that Nigerians are crying and seeking for help in. The insecurity in Nigeria is growing, and if we have this, these successes and there's no security, it's just like having a lot of money but you are not secured in your own house. You have everything you need, but you don't have security in that house. And he mentioned, we cannot even talk about the health sector. He said the health sector had grown, and so many doctors are still complaining. I was still seeing so many people going on strike. We even look into one of those news when we're looking into other newspaper headlines.
Yeah. So I want to just say to the president, in the excerpts of his speech and going through the details, he made a lot of successes of his government, which relatively they are true when you look at it. You compare the economy of now with 4 years ago, and so why don't you compare the economy of now with
the last
10, 20 years? Why is it 4 years ago? 4 years ago, and it's still APC that is. But relatively, like I said earlier, 2023 till now, there has been reduced inflation. There's a bit of stability in the naira now. We are seeing a lot of things, and he said that the worst has gone, like we are into. So we just hold his word towards it that the worst has actually passed, and we are headed forward to a new direction in Nigeria, But moving on to the security challenges that you made mention of, security is, if you don't provide security in a nation, every other thing is useless. every other thing becomes useless. So that is why security is very important. This morning I was watching a video on Facebook where bandits, they came in like superstars. They want to come and negotiate with the village heads.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that the village is not, they want to negotiate with the village heads, so the village heads will give them money so that they will stop
stay away.
attacking the village. You know, and these are the issues that we are dealing with in Nigeria. I mean, they came with bikes, canopies were prepared, you know, and when you see that, there is still much more to be done in this regard. You know, the president will always, I mean, he's the president, he will always want to bring hope, preach hope, and all of that. You know, the health sector, he is still taking treatment abroad. Even when we talk of the educational sector that we are talking of, when you compare that, there are a lot more schools now. There are a lot more schools compared with the number of people that we have that should go to those schools. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I mean, Nigeria still has out-of-school children of about 13 million. 13 million people out-of-school children. I mean, that's a large number. And we are talking about security challenges. These are easy recruits for crime. Yeah, so when you go, that's why I say relatively, the president listed out his successes, and I'm not against it. These successes are very good. But when you dive deep into these challenges, you know, he spoke about student loan. I'm a big fan of the student loan. I think it's a good one. It's a good initiative. And I commend the government for giving student loans, you know. It helps people to seek to go to school, you know, and he also said it gave sort of grants to people. It's a good one, and I hope that the government continues in that light. But I also criticize the government in some aspects: security, health, educational infrastructure. If you go to some of our schools, even animals should not be reared in those kind of conditions, you know, and all of that. So the government still needs to do much more, and I hope in this next 1.5 years that he will be spending in office, he is able to at least kickstart some of this, or is able to solve some of these problems before the next general election.
Okay, we'll be diving into the Guardian newspaper on front page next. We see out-of-school children endangers Nigerian security, or Obasanjo warns in page 61, in page 6. Pardon me. And we also see beside it at Nigeria at 65. It is time for Nigeria to reclaim her independence in page 16. We also see concerns over rising over insecurity adoption in the National Central. We also see at Nigeria at 65, Tinubu hails the reform and says worst is over, urges unity and optimism in page 6. We also see a greater Nigeria Tinubu building block. We see that building block in most of the front page of most of the newspapers that are for today, like the Vanguard and the Punch, as well as other newspapers. But we'll be moving into the statement of Olusegun Obasanjo. He said that in his statement, I want to say in his statement, because the rising of children, we just mentioned that in your statement, your last statement, you mentioned that the amount, or the numbers of children that are out of schools, if you compare it to the numbers of children in schools, and the numbers of children that even come out of school and still make tangible, let's say, use of what, it's a lot of gap in the educational system. It shows that a lot of gap is actually hidden. Well, I don't want to say hidden. Some are exposed, but some are hidden in the Nigerian educational system. But I don't know. I want you to speak on what the statement of Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes, it's like I said earlier. You know, he's just reiterating what has been said in the public domain of out-of-school children. I'm not sure of the number. I was thinking maybe 13 million, but I mean, that's a large number. When you are talking about millions of children below the age of maybe 15, 14, 12, 1, and you see them on the streets, especially in northern Nigeria, you go around the streets and you see them on the streets. I mean, when the mind is not being occupied, you just wonder what the criminal. That's why Boko Haram, it's very hard for us to deal with Boko Haram, because the more people you kill, the more these guys are recruiting more people into their domain, their tracks, their team. You know, you kill a lot of them, they will still recruit. You know, so we need to find a way to solve this issue. And sometimes I just look at it, is it rocket science? Can't you just create schools for these people and let them go to school free of charge? I mean, is This is something that has been done in the 1960s. I mean, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, he gave free education in southwestern Nigeria, or western Nigeria as it was known then. And how was he able to do it? In the old western Nigeria, you had free education. So we shouldn't be having this sort of issues in 2025 that people are not going to school in a country. Then moving on to what you said, even those that are in school, when they come out, do they have jobs? Then you're also talking about, one of the things that always people try to, underemployment. Nobody talks about it in Nigeria. What I am capable of doing is not what I end up doing. I am being underemployed. That is also another big issue in Nigeria.
And you're being forced to do something.
You are being forced
just to
do
food on your table.
Just to put food on your table. You are being underemployed. You see a lot of graduates that are doing laborer work and doing all this. It's not that laborer work is bad in itself, but they want to do something else with their degree, but they are forced to do what they. So these are the issues that we just look at in Nigeria. Look, we can't talk about Nigeria's problems. And I always say this. Everything rises and falls on the leaders of a nation. The direction they give, their disposition, the actions that they take, everything rises and falls on the leaders. Out of school children that we are discussing of now, our leaders need to sit down and really look into this issue and solve it. Yes.
So we've looked into so many headlines. We'll just be glancing through all the newspaper headlines we've looked into already.
Yeah.
And that's Nigeria Now, the pathway to recovery. In the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, we see that Nigeria Now, on pathway to recovery, Tinubu assures as nation turns 65, challenges Norway says that they will review and compare Nigerians' journey since 1960. We also see in page 2 that I am no longer a politician. Olubadan tells Atiku, El-Rufai, as well as others. Security operative storms bandit camp in Kwara and kills many in page 27. And we also see the big Greater Nigerian Tinubu building block also in that front page. We also move to the Nation newspaper front page. NSA steps into Dangote Pegasan's dispute in page 2. Now Lagos Ibadan Rail is redefining commands in page 33. Owori stands still for Uzodinma book presentation in page 2. Wike says we will hunt down killers of Arise TV reporter in page 5. And we also see that Tinubu lists 12 economic milestones in page 4. We also see the Greater Nigerian Tinubu's building block, and that's the same front page. Now we'll be going on the short break. When we come back, we'll be looking into our tech news.
Smart apps. Smart apps leverage AI and machine learning to provide personalized user experiences and automate tasks. These apps are being used across sectors like finance, healthcare, and retail.
They don't want their work included. A caution to this policy on AI image. OpenAI argues the approach and falls under the legal doctrine of fair use, a stance that urged U.S. policymakers to formally adopt and keep American AI companies competitive globally. This addresses the misuse of OpenAI and safeguards a place to prevent unauthorized videos of public figures. Okay, so I really want us to dive into this news, but I want to read, because the next tech news we're going to be taking is related to this particular tech news. So we're going to read, I just want to glance through the next tech news. We see in the next tech news that Disney issues case and deceased to character, AI over copyright characters. We see that Disney has sent a case and this is letter to AI startup Character AI, damaging it stop and authorizing the use of copyright characters. According to Disney, they expressed a concern on the financial harm, but also the potential long-term damage that this is doing to their brand, citing the reports that the platform has been misused for grooming, exploitation, and emotional manipulation. Characters of AI are said to have the users have said to have generated and be inspired by work existing already. Now, let me just summarize this issue because of time. So Disney has an issue with them due to the fact that OpenAI has been able to open a new has been able to do a new improvement on being able to have a character or a video being edited by AI. So you can just type what kind of video, or probably we're even talking about AI formulating stories for us. Now you can just type your story and AI will just construct the video, and you can even tell AI that this is the particular person you want to actually be acting in that video. Now Disney and so many other companies have come out to say this is an issue, not just on the company itself, but on the particular characters themselves. Now if you are using if someone can sit in their homes and make a movie out of AI using celebrities, the facial recognition of celebrities, then it doesn't tell any. You don't need to join the film industry to actually
You don't
make
need to
money
pay
anymore.
anybody to
Make
act
money,
film for
and you
you.
do not need to pay anybody to act movie for you, and you can just sit at your home and be making movies and putting it out just because of OpenAI. And like I said, I just want you to say something about this on both the fact that there's a character personality being formed here on OpenAI. I do not want to call it, I'm trying to not call it defamation, because of course they'll be saying a lot of things, they'll be saying other things but using people's faces. I do not want to say defamation, I do not want to call it that, but that and the fact that there's also social security, and the fact that we're looking at that AI doesn't take away our jobs from our hands.
I was just about to say actors and actresses now. AI wants to take jobs away from them. But really, looking at this will definitely raise a lot of legal issues. In fact, it has already raised a lot of legal issues. Imagine me and you being here now, and rather than us being here, maybe they will just say, oh, Barrister Damisi, hey, someone will just put Barrister Damisi, come and talk like Damisi, behave like Damisi, and just respond to the news. Deborah Jacobs, so you won't be happy, I won't be happy seeing myself on the TV, and I know I'm not there. So it will definitely raise a lot of issues, But OpenAI has come out to say that they will seek approval from the people that will be. No, but it doesn't stop the fact that a lot of issues will be raised. I mean, there are so many actors, there are so many actresses, there are so many video editors, so many things involved in creation of videos and all of that, that you will need to seek approval from before you can use their characters, you can use their faces, you can use the way they talk or anything like that. You need to seek approval, and they won't be happy in giving that approval. But you still see some people, because they have access to OpenAI already, what they will do, they will just go and manipulate it and make use of it. In fact, crime rates can even increase.
That's where I'm even looking at, because of course we've had so many cases in the past that we see AI constructing a particular figure or a particular person's figure and saying what normally that person will not say, and which can actually put that person into trouble. So that's all of this is what we are concerned about. And is it even necessary, this kind of move? How does this affect us, or how does this bring or present an advantage to us?
So really, like you said, there are a lot of issues. If you look at some of these videos, some videos that are very defaming, I will have to look at it, and the person will come out to say this is an AI-edited video. And then I'll say, this thing almost looks very realistic, you know? And some of these videos are so good that you would think that it's actually the person that did it, or So really, they have to be, this is where institutions have to come into play, government institutions. They have to find a way to address this issue. The American government needs to sit down with OpenAI and tell them, look, we can't continue like this. We can't go forward like this. There needs to be a way that you adjust. There needs to be like a regulatory format for you to be able to do this kind of thing. In fact, going back to your question, what is the advantage of even being able this particular technology or this particular? I'm trying to think of, is there any advantage? Maybe someone can just sit there are maybe AI animated movies and all of that. Or let me just give it, for example, if you do a movie, you don't necessarily need to use the character. You can create your own character and just call it AI animated movie, so that everybody knows it's an AI animated movie. But in that sense, again, you are also taking away jobs from people, because people that are supposed to be acting movies, you are no more paying them, you are no more, helping them. So really, AI, like we've always been saying, AI has its advantages, it also has its disadvantages, but regulatory institutions need to come into play. They need to form a good regulatory framework to restrict usage of AI so that it doesn't become something that is good, doesn't become too bad for us, and it doesn't become too bad for us to handle, or too, I don't know the adjective to use. I'm trying to look for a good adjective, but it doesn't become something we can't handle. Because the way AI is going now is definitely flying. I mean, you look at the technology that is being put into artificial intelligence, you look at everything. There was a day I had to do a work for somebody, enter ChatGPT, put it, and you just get your work done, and everything is perfect and all of that. But we need to have regulatory institutions come into play. Government needs to regulate how these products are being used so that we don't go into something that is
that we cannot control
that we cannot control anymore. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, all our viewers, for looking and actually being glued to your screen on this newspaper review. We've come to an end and we're about to draw the curtain. But before we draw the curtain, thank you very much, Barrister, for actually making yourself present and gracing us with your wisdom. You know, it's been long I said that, with your wisdom. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing us with your presence.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you to all our viewers. Do well to comment and like, as well as subscribe, so that you can see pop-up videos of this kind whenever you actually go on your YouTube channel, or even outside of your YouTube channel. I am Jacobs Deborah. Until I come your way again, do stay informed, stay safe. Bye for now.